Mother Teresa, revered by many as a saint and remembered as a veritable angel of mercy, had a life filled with compassion, but also surrounded by controversy. In 1983, while visiting Pope John Paul II in Rome, her health took a serious turn when she suffered a heart attack. 6 years later, she required a pacemaker after facing more heart issues. Years after that, she was confined to a hospital bed, her supporters surrounding her, fearing she was nearing her end. Yet, an archbishop at her bedside attributed her frailty to more than just physical decline. "It's the devil," he reportedly exclaimed, claiming Satan himself was tormenting the frail nun. This led to attempts at exorcism to rid her of any malevolent presence. The accounts given of Mother Teresa's exorcism attempts were downright horrifying, and we'll get to those in just a moment, so make sure you stick around. If you're not familiar with her story, you might now be wondering, just who in the heck is this Mother Teresa character? For those who lived through the 1980s and 90s, Mother Teresa was a household name, frequently seen on TV as the woman who had devoted her life to caring for the destitute and sick. In fact, the Catholic Church even declared her capable of performing miracles, leading to her canonization as Saint Teresa of Calcutta. But this raises a curious question. Could someone venerated as a saint truly be possessed by the devil? Born in 1910 in what is now North Macedonia, she was given the name Mary Teresa Boyakshu. Even as a child, she was captivated by stories of missionaries. At 18, she left home and journeyed to Ireland, joining the Sisters of Loreto to improve her English and begin her missionary training. A year later, she was in Darjeeling, West Bengal, India, preparing to become a nun. Soon after, she took the name Sister Teresa and began teaching in Calcutta. But the city's abject poverty, worsened by the devastating famine of 1943, weighed heavily on her. In 1946, while traveling by train to the mountains for rest and recovery, she believed she received a message from Jesus, urging her to serve him by helping the poorest of the poor. She later explained, "I was to leave the convent and help the poor while living among them." To fail would have been to break the faith. This calling led her to establish the Missionaries of Charity. Her work focused on the blind, the lepers, the homeless, and those considered societal outcasts. As her reputation grew, donations began pouring in. With these resources, she founded orphanages and hospitals for the dying and impoverished. Fluent in English, Bengali, and Hindi, as well as her native Albanian and Serbian, Mother Teresa's influence became global. Despite this, she remained closely tied to India, where she spent the majority of her time. On the surface, she seemed to be a beacon of goodness. But over time, critics emerged, questioning her methods and intentions. One major issue was the quality of care in her hospices. Many of the volunteers were untrained in medical care, leaving patients without proper treatment or pain relief. Reports surfaced of people suffering unnecessarily, with some being misdiagnosed due to the absence of qualified doctors. Instead of receiving adequate medical attention, patients were often told to embrace their suffering as a way to connect with Jesus. One of her most vocal critics was the late writer Christopher Hitchens. He accused her order of secretly baptizing patients on their deathbeds without consent, often targeting Hindus and Muslims. Hitchens famously said, "She was not a friend to the poor, she was a friend of poverty." He argued that Mother Teresa glorified suffering while using her influence to expand the Catholic Church, rather than addressing systemic issues of poverty. After speaking with her personally, Hitchens claimed she admitted that her mission wasn't about alleviating poverty, but about spreading Catholicism. "I'm not a social worker," she allegedly told him. "I do it for Christ. I do it for the Church." Despite being honored worldwide and even receiving the Nobel Peace Prize, Mother Teresa often spoke of an internal darkness she felt pulling her away from faith. She once wrote, "Where is my faith?" even deep down. Mother Teresa once expressed profound spiritual struggle, saying, "There is nothing but emptiness and darkness. If there be God, please forgive me. When I try to raise my thoughts to heaven, there is such convicting emptiness that those very thoughts return, like sharp knives, and hurt my very soul." Living among abject poverty profoundly tested her faith, raising personal doubts. But was this spiritual turmoil the reason for her exorcism? It could very well have contributed. Throughout her life, Mother Teresa battled numerous illnesses. She contracted tuberculosis earlier in life and later suffered from malaria. In 1983, while visiting Rome, she suffered a heart attack. Years later, another cardiac episode nearly claimed her life. By 1995, her physical health had significantly deteriorated. She broke her collarbone after falling from her bed, canceling a trip to collect a $12 million donation in Calcutta. A few months later, malaria struck again, followed by another bout of heart failure. Despite her unwavering faith, these persistent challenges led some to believe that her suffering might have been caused by darker forces. At the time, Archbishop Henry Sebastian de Souza of Calcutta, who was staying in the same hospital as Mother Teresa, became convinced that her afflictions were more than just physical. He speculated that the devil was tormenting her. Reports of her thrashing in bed during the night, despite her calm demeanor during the day, seemed to confirm his suspicions. The Archbishop believed she was under attack. This was a very reasonable speculation. After all, what other possible explanation could there be for an elderly woman to be thrashing in bed during the night? That being said, there was only one thing left to do. The Archbishop acted appropriately by arranging an exorcism. Surprisingly, Mother Teresa agreed, allowing the exorcist to proceed. The ritual was carried out by Father Rosario Stroscio, a 75-year-old priest, who began reciting prayers of exorcism over the frail nun. Surprisingly, while the exorcism was being performed, Mother Teresa's head did not spin in circles, her voice didn't deepen, and she did not speak in tongues. There weren't even any walls adorned with fallen crucifixes. This exorcism was far more subdued. There was no shouting or cursing. Instead, Mother Teresa participated in her own exorcism by reciting the magic incantations, or as some would call them, prayers, along with Father Stroscio. After the ritual, she fell into a deep, peaceful sleep, something she hadn't experienced in a long time. The Archbishop later described the event as remarkable. He said she was totally restless. The doctor couldn't understand it. She was pulling all the wires out. But the night after the exorcism, she slept like a baby. She was totally calm. It should also be noted that she was not bottle-fed that night. He added that until her death, Mother Teresa occasionally experienced what he believed were spiritual attacks. To be canonized, the Church requires verifiable miracles attributed to the individual. For Mother Teresa, this meant documenting her ability to heal the sick. One such claim involved a woman named Monica Besra in India. Monica said that a beam of light emerged from a photo of Mother Teresa in her home and cured her of a cancerous tumor. However, Monica's doctor disputed this, asserting that medical treatment, not divine intervention, was responsible for her recovery. Even Monica's husband chimed in, saying, "My wife was cured by the doctors, not by any miracle." Yet, records that could have clarified the situation mysteriously disappeared. Despite doubts, Pope Francis approved the documentation for Mother Teresa's second miracle in 2015. This case involved a man in Brazil who was reportedly cured of multiple brain tumors after being touched by her. Critics pointed out that the Vatican's Office for Sainthood Investigations spends upwards of €500,000 on each case. When questioned about the whereabouts of the funds, the Church offered no detailed answers, further fueling suspicions. Mother Teresa's life remains an enigmatic blend of selfless charity, profound spiritual struggle, and unyielding devotion. Whether you view her as a saint, a flawed figure, or both, her story invites us to reflect on faith, suffering, and the complex nature of altruism. What are your thoughts on all of this? How do you feel about Mother Teresa? Do you think that Mother Teresa deserves to be a saint, or do you view her as an evil old hag? Be sure to share your thoughts with me in the comments. And if you want to know more about Mother Teresa and why her reputation was called into question, be sure to check out the previous video that we made on the topic by clicking on the link in the description.
If you enjoy our content, we'd love your support. By joining one of our channel memberships, You help us continue creating videos like this one while gaining access to some amazing perks. As a member, you'll unlock exclusive content available only to supporters, earn loyalty badges to show off in comments and live chats, and enjoy priority responses to your comments, shoutouts, and more. The best part? Memberships start at just $2.99 a month, less than a cup of coffee. Even small contributions make a big difference for the PJ Bible TV team in covering production costs and delivering the content you love. And if you're not ready to become a channel member today but still want to support us, there are other ways to help. Engaging with our videos is a tremendous way to show your support. By taking just a few moments to like the video, share it with friends, family, or on social media, and leave a comment, you're telling the YouTube algorithm to share our content with more people. Your support, no matter how you choose to show it, means the world to us. Thank you for being part of the PJ Bible TV community.